Hello there, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now, as has become something of an annual custom here, I'd like to run through with you the latest Rolex models which have been released just today at Watches and Wonders over in Switzerland. Now these are the new models which will enter the marketplace essentially immediately, but of course there's going to be a while before they start landing with new owners. And there's a lot to talk about because you get years where you have feast and years where you get famine when it comes to Rolex. Quite often there'll be a year where very little gets released. You maybe get a few new Datejust dials and things like that, but this year it's definitely a feast year. There's lots going on with entirely new models entering the Rolex range. So let's embark upon our journey through the new Rolex catalogue for 2023. Let's talk about what hasn't changed and what's been discontinued before we talk about the new stuff, because this might be an easy way of approaching it. Discontinued is the Milgauss. Now it's been rumoured to be discontinued for many years, but the Milgauss is finally gone. It's left the catalogue, may make a re-emergence at some point in the future, but for this year, Milgauss is gone. And what hasn't faced any change, and everybody thought it would, is the Submariner. Now the reason the Sub featured in many people's predictions was because it's a birthday year. It's an anniversary for the Sub. It's 70 years old in 2023. And normally Rolex does something, maybe a new dial colour, maybe a precious metal version, but actually nothing's happened at all. The Submariner faces no changes, so you don't have to hold your breath if you've been waiting to buy a Submariner. What has changed fundamentally is perhaps Rolex's flagship piece, the Cosmograph Daytona. Now that faces a birthday this year. I believe it's 60 years since the Daytona entered the market, but not a lot has changed other than the fact that there's been a redesign of the case. Now to the naked eye, it really doesn't look an awful lot different, but when you delve a little deeper, you will notice what's happened. Now firstly, there's a new movement inside that piece. It's now the caliber 4131, which brings up to date that chronograph movement to the very latest and greatest of its evolution. There's been some changes fundamentally with the case, but what you'll notice the most is on the Cerachrome models. Now this is where they have the Cerachrome as a bezel, and in the past the Cerachrome was an overlay on top of the dial. From this point on, the new models, it's an insert, so it's sunk into the actual dial itself. So instead of sitting proud on top of the dial, it's now within the metal itself. So it provides a higher level of protection, and it's more interesting to look at, I think. Actually, it seems more integrated. It's more attractive to my eye. Although, as you know, the Daytona is a almost mythical beast because they're impossible to get hold of. Interestingly, their platinum version now features for the first time a transparent case back, so you can look in to the guts of the watch. And I think the reason they've done that on the platinum version is because they now have a gold counterbalance, which is the automatic winding element. So you can see that yellow gold counterbalance doing its work. And that platinum model is now very much the sort of flagship of the entire range. The basic stainless steel Daytona, £12,700. Not much else has changed, still 40mm, but a redesigned case and a new movement. So moving on, what else has happened? Let's look at the Yachtmaster. Now, the Yachtmaster is where Rolex have made some significant changes. The Yachtmaster 42mm model is now available in titanium, or Rolex call it RLX titanium, because of course they produce their own titanium, and it's a grade 5 alloy titanium, making it extremely light with a high tensile strength and of course incredibly resistant to corrosion. So titanium actually a perfect material for the manufacture of watches, but now Rolex have brought it out, and it's a very interesting watch to look at. It's got a black Cerachrome bezel with three-dimensional markers on the bezel. It's single directional bezel, so it moves in one direction, dive watch, I believe, yep. And it is also very sort of stealthy and attractive because of that black 3D bezel, and also that titanium. The titanium slightly grayer than stainless steel, and I believe the Rolex Yachtmaster has mostly brushed some polished elements to it, but I really like the way it looks. I like titanium on a watch, actually. And another interesting thing, no glide lock, really disappointing. It's got an easy link on the clasp, which I'm really disappointed. I think they should have introduced that with you know, the glide lock, which just makes it such a much more wearable and functional piece on the wrist. Very attractive. I'm sure it's going to be a winner for the Rolex brand. £11,400. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, for me, just my tastes, aesthetically, it's the standout piece of what we're talking about today. What else has changed? Well, as I said, Rolex have introduced a brand new model. It's called the Perpetual 1908, but in essence, it is an evolution of the Cellini line. Cellini, of course, being Rolex's long-standing dress watch collection, but it's now called a Perpetual 1908. Now, 1908, they're using this name because that is the year which Rolex registered its trademark name in Switzerland. So it's a landmark year for them, 1908. Of course, they were founded in London, I think, in 1905. But 1908 is when they began their journey in Switzerland. And apparently the watch draws its inspiration from an Oyster Perpetual made by Rolex in 1931. Now, it is an entirely new timepiece. Totally different to anything they've brought out before, so they claim, although it bears obviously a resemblance to the Cellini of past. It's a 39mm watch, which is apparently a third the thickness of any other Oyster Perpetual, so it's really designed to be a slim dress watch. It's delivered to us in precious metal only, either white gold or yellow gold, I believe, and it is in black dial or white dial, and it comes on an alligator strap, so very much dress watch aesthetic. It has an exhibition case back, so you can see into that watch inside, and yeah, it's a completely new 7140 caliber inside that watch, self-winding mechanism, 66 hours power reserve with yeah, so pretty, you know, pretty spectacular for what it is. 18,500 British pounds. So quite a lot of money for what it is, but an interesting piece. Aesthetically, looking at the dial, it's got a 3, a 9 and a 6 in numericals, telling us the cardinal points, and at the 6 o'clock position there's a small second display. So yeah, functionally attractive. I like it. Would I buy one? Absolutely not. So yeah, but interesting to see something new entering the range. Going back to the more tried and tested models, the Sky Dweller. It's been with us since 2012 now, a 42mm behemoth of a watch. It's a really thick juggernaut of a wrist piece. Of course, it measures 2 time zones. It's a GMT function, and also is Rolex's annual calendar, often called Rolex's most complicated watch. Aesthetically, it's had some embellishments. Basically, that's all that's really happened. An 18 karat white gold entering the range again. Oyster Flex bracelet on that with a glide lock clasp. Good to see the glide locks now entering more members of the Rolex Sky Dweller family. The mint green dial now comes on the Roller model, so they're predominantly the stainless steel with some white gold models. And that mint green, very attractive colour. It joins the blue and the white, I think, and the black already in the Roller models, which are the slightly more affordable models, through 13,300 British pounds. But the mint green, I think, now the standout model for the more affordable elements. You now see a new movement in that watch too, a 9002 movement caliber, takes over from the 9001, which has been around since 2012, so quite a big change. For me, the standout improvement here is the blue-green dial, which is available exclusively on the 18 carat Everose Gold model. Price on request for the solid precious metal models, which doubtless will be north of £35,000, I'm guessing, closer to 40,000. So a very expensive, very large watch, quite niche, doesn't really fit everybody's wrist. As I say, a real juggernaut of a watch, but some interesting colour schemes entering there. And I really like that blue-green dial. I think that's going to be a winner-winner. Chicken dinner. So let's get on to the more highly sought after watches, the GMT Master 2. Now GMT models, and I'm actually wearing one right now, actually I've got a GMT Master 2 root beer on, been wearing that all day. They are very desirable. We know that people love these watches. They're a good size, 40mm, and they have a useful complication. You know, their GMT function allows you to track 2 different time zones. So lots of people like them. And they come in some very attractive colours. The Batman, blue-black, the Pepsi, red-blue, the root beer, brown-black. So lots of variation there. And of course, last year they hit us with the green and black model, with the left-handed, with the crown on the other side, basically. I thought they would have left the GMT well alone, but no, Rolex know when to fish the pond for ever more financial opportunities. And this year they've introduced a new model, or a new colourway, I should say. 2 models in essence. One is a solid yellow gold GMT Master 2 with a Jubilee bracelet. So the Jubilee, of course, is available in the stainless steel on the other models, but wasn't available on the two-tone. There's so many watches to talk about. The root beer. You couldn't get the Jubilee on the root beer, so you couldn't get it with a precious metal two-tone. They have introduced it with a yellow two-tone, yellow gold two-tone, and the dial, or should I say the bezel, is now black grey. So yeah, bit of a meh for me, really. I don't really love the black grey. I think it's a bit of a neither here, neither there. I would have preferred a solid black bezel rather than the black grey, but they've gone for the black grey, and with the yellow gold, fairly attractive. Yeah, in solid yellow gold and also in two-tone yellow gold. So yeah, you know, it adds interest into the range. I don't think it's particularly exciting, but nice to see the two-tone precious metal option available in the Jubilee. So interesting there. The two-tone model, £13,850. The yellow gold model, £32,700. So quite exclusive in the price range, but again, Rolex really kicking the arse out of the GMT range now. Nothing's dropping off the end, just new stuff entering all the time to take advantage of the public interest in what is a very usable, very interesting watch. What I wasn't expecting this year was any variation to the Explorer 1 range, or the Explorer range. Because remember, 2 years ago, Rolex shocked everyone. They retired the 39mm Explorer, which was very, you know, desirable and popular, and they reduced it to the 36mm, which was the original size that watch first came in. Bit of a shocker, because I know the 39mm was very popular. However, 2 years on, they have now introduced the Explorer in a 40mm size. So now you have the 36mm and the 40mm. So yeah, only available in stainless steel. Nothing else changes. The only thing they've done is made that 36mm somewhat larger. So identical in every way except now a bigger watch. No difference to the mechanism, 3230 movement inside, 70 hours power reserve, still an easy link, bracelet clasp, still made of 904L steel, no talk about a two-tone on the 40mm, £6,450. So not a massive thing going on there with the Explorer, but definitely catering to the masses, perhaps, who said 36 is too small for men. Now available in 36 and 40. Interesting. Oyster Perpetual, right? The entry level, it's been considered, to the Rolex range for a long time. not a lot going on, but what they have introduced is something visually interesting. They've introduced a dial which is what they're calling the celebration motif, and it is a dial which is utterly alive and bouncing with colour, and Rolex tell us vitality and positivity. And it's available in the 31, the 36 and the 41 dial sizes. So there's one there for everyone. What does it look like? Well, it's a turquoise. They're very popular. It used to be called the Tiffany by people, but a turquoise blue dial. And it's half covered with small bubbles. Now those bubbles are coloured in the same colours as the other Stellar dials from the Stellar collection earlier on. So you've got green, you've got candy pink, and you've got coral blue. Now it's a lacquered dial. It's very striking. It's very interesting. Would I own it? Absolutely not. It's kind of childlike in its appearance. I'm sure it's going to be enormously popular, and people are going to trample their grandmothers to buy this watch if it came on the market. It was available to them, but actually I think it's a little cartoonish for my tastes, but I understand why they've done it. And yeah, it's interesting. The celebration dial, good to see. Yeah, so what else have we got here? Oh, I should tell you, price-wise, if you went for the 41 millimeter dial, £5,400. So still makes it the entry level, but I doubt you will ever be able to see it, and that's joining the range of other ones. What else is happening? The day date. Very few of us will probably want to know, but it's interesting. They've introduced a number of new dial options to the day date in some colour schemes which relate to minerals, crystals, gem sets as well. Most of these are, there's diamonds involved everywhere, on the 36 millimeter models, and they come in white gold, yellow gold and Everose gold. So if you went for the Everose gold option, you've got a predominantly green dial. It's very striking. It's got a crystalline dial which is called aventurine. I've never heard of that one, but it looks emeraldy, and yeah, it's very striking, very blingy indeed on the Everose gold. If you went for the yellow gold, you have this very striking orange colour dial, which is made of a material called carnelian, and yeah, I think it's the standout colour for me in this option of 3. And you have a blue dial which comes on white gold, and that's turquoise, but it's not standard turquoise, it's natural. So it's got some veins in it which appear of darker colour, so each piece is going to be entirely different because obviously it's natural substance. So yeah, they are price on request, so doubtless they're going to be monumentally expensive, you know, north of 35, 40, God knows how much, thousands of British pounds, but yeah, lots going on there. So what did surprise me this year, yes, it was the fact they didn't do anything with the Submariner. They didn't do a great deal with the Datejust this year. They've introduced a few new dial options, which, yeah, nothing special, I would say, but meh, you know. What they have done is the Milgauss is gone, of course. A lot of people are going to be sorry about that. What they didn't retire, and I thought they would, was the Yachtmaster 2. Somehow that's clinging on. I don't think anybody buys them. They're not very popular. They're quite gargoyle-ish in their appearance, but they're still in there. So lots going on. For me, the standout pieces which have occurred this year, yes, they have changed the Daytona, but in such a way it's hardly noticeable to my eye, I have to say. You would not really tell on first appearance, but when you delve into it and take a look at the way that the watch has been sort of finished, you can see the inset Cerachrome is a sensible route to take. And updating the movement, yeah, absolutely. But the standout one for me, what would I buy if I was going to buy one of these pieces? The Yachtmaster 42 in titanium. I rather like that. Now, I wouldn't buy it because 42 millimeters is too large for my wrist, but if you are in the market for something quite spiffy, quite interesting, I think that 42 millimeter titanium Rolex is definitely a pioneer in the brand, because I can see more watches becoming titanium in the future. So there we go, folks. I thought I would chuck that one out there for you. My thoughts, a run through some of the pieces which are entering the game. It's fascinating. They've given us a lot to talk about. Whether or not you'll ever be able to buy any of these is interesting, but there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give the video a thumbs up, click that subscribe button. You can support me by buying me a coffee, or even better, become a patron where you can benefit from additional material, should you wish. But there we go. I'm going to release another video tomorrow on the Tudor options, because I rather like Tudor as well. So probably chuck one out on the Tudor editions tomorrow. Be a bit shorter, because there's far less to talk about with Tudor. So until the next time, take care, and I will see you again very soon.